All right, everyone. So in today's episode, we're going to do a deep dive case study into how a stock is able to go up over 400% in one day. It happened just today. And even as I was preparing the slides, the stock went up another 300%. It hit a high of a 700% gain versus yesterday's close, which is incredible. And I'm excited about it because as an active trader, I love trading these types of stocks. And of course, I traded it, and I'm going to break down the trades that I took. But I don't want you to think that this is the first time something like this has ever happened. We are seeing these types of moves on a fairly regular basis. So this definitely won't be the last time we see a big percentage gainer. So what I want you to do in today's episode is try to soak up and learn as much as you can about the dynamics of these types of moves. So the next time one of these comes along, you're able to capitalize on it, perhaps a little bit better than you did today. All right, so let's jump into our slides. The stock that we're talking about today, the ticker is GCTS. Not that the ticker really matters. For the most part, as an active trader, we're focusing on the technicals of the chart, not really the fundamentals of the company. But GCTS today was the stock that, from a technical perspective, gave us these incredible opportunities. Now, when it began pre-market, early pre-market, GCTS popped up on the scans. And in fact, at 9:30, coming into the open, this was a 9:30 timestamp, it was up 92%, but it only had 280,000 shares of volume. So it was up, but there were a lot of stocks that were more interesting. IBIO was up 127%. It had 26 million shares of volume. LIXT was up 76% with 6.5 million shares of volume. So there are a lot of stocks that were far more interesting than GCTS. But nonetheless, because it was one of the leading gappers, I did go ahead and check to see what the catalyst was. And what I saw when I checked the news was that GCT Semiconductor becomes publicly traded after completing business combination with Concord Acquisition Company and will commence trading on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol GCTS. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. All right, so that's the catalyst. This is it's essentially a new stock coming into the market as the result of this merger. So when I first look at the daily chart, I see that, all right, this is a stock that was trading more or less at $10, and that's because its previous chart history was as a special acquisition company. A special acquisition company, also known as a SPAC, is a financial instrument that has been very popular in recent years and is used to buy stocks and bring them into the public market. So I'm just going to move my microphone here a little bit. We'll get on the whiteboard and I'm going to show you what this looks like. So we're going to, so SPAC, this was a SPAC, which is important to note, which stands for Special Purpose Acquisition Company. Special Purpose Acquisition Company. And the way these companies work is they sell shares at the cost of $10 a share to as many people as they can. So they might sell 30 million shares at $10 a share, and they'll raise $300 million. All right. So they raise $300 million, and now they take that money and they go try to find add a couple more zeros. They go take that money, they go try to find a company that they can bring into the public market. So maybe there's a company that's privately held and, the company doesn't want to do a traditional IPO, but hey, they'll take the buyout offer and merge in to this company. So that's exactly what happened. We got a merger and now GCTS, the merger is complete. The acquisition has taken place. And now all of a sudden this is a publicly traded company. So today is day one now of the post-merger. So the merger has happened, and now the trading has commenced. So yesterday, the price hit a low of about $7.50, which is how we got the percentage change today because of the special acquisition company. Today, it began trading at about $10, and immediately, as you can see right here, squeezed up to over $27 a share. But here's what I'll tell you about this. And we're going to pull up, I'm going to pull up my chart so I can show you kind of what that move looked like. I'd encourage you not to feel too much FOMO for missing that move, because if we actually look at this chart, and we can look at the 10-second chart, what you'll see is that although the price went up, there was really no chart, there was really no volume. No one was trading this. Yes, it moved higher, but there was really almost no volume whatsoever. So it hits a high of $29, and then it drops back down to $15 a share. So pre-market, I was kind of looking at it around this area here because I saw that it seemed like it was forming a base at around $12 or $11.50. However, I talked myself out of taking a trade on it because I just said to myself, there's not enough volume. It's not obvious. And there's a bunch of other stocks today that are more interesting. So I really just don't think that it's worth paying much attention to. Now, I'm going to open the door for 1 second. Got to let June outside. So I talked myself out of taking any trades on it pre-market, which is just as well because as you can see, it went completely sideways. It didn't do anything. At the open, I was focusing on other stocks, and this ended up halting down once, twice, 3 times. So it sold off quite a bit, all the way down to a low of about $9.44, which considering it hit a high of, well, I guess it shows like $29. It's a pretty huge drop, right? It's like 70 or 60% drop. It's a really big sell-off. So that's odd, but I really didn't think much of it at all. And then I finished my morning trading at about 10. I didn't have a very productive morning. It was kind of slow. Obviously, this wasn't doing anything. There were a couple other stocks, but they weren't super exciting. LIXT was a little tricky. My biggest winner was actually on a stock that was a Chinese stock that did a really nasty reversal. So anyways, I'm not really paying that much attention. And then I see out of the corner of my eye that some folks in the chat room are talking about GCTS. And I see it hit the scanner as it starts to curl up. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Holy smokes. This thing is halting up. It halted up right here at 1636. So it rallies from 8 all the way back up, but on very light volume. It resumes, and look at the volume on the selling candle. A ton of selling volume. That's a bad volume profile. We don't usually like to see that. It ends up selling off a little bit more, and then it bounces a little bit, but it's not able to get back to these levels. And at that time, I kind of thought, I don't really know if there's anything to trade here. It's maybe somewhat interesting, but not really. It's just kind of weird, to be honest. It's just sort of a weird anomaly of a move. And then coming into 11, it starts to creep back up. It creeps back up around 11:30, 11:45. It hits a high here of $19.49. It pulls back, and right here it starts to pull away. So I actually took my first trade on it right here at about 11:55 on this pullback. This is where I took my first trade. And on that first trade, I bought a starter of just 250 shares. I decided to break the ice with small size because I didn't have a big profit cushion from pre-market, but I thought this could move, $4 or $5 a share. So I'll just take a starter with small size. The low of this last pullback was 1941. So when I got in right here, I knew I was getting in a little high, but it pretty quickly popped up to 24, then up to 25, 24, pulls back and goes up to 26. So I was taking my profit off the table as it went higher. And I was like, you know what? That's not bad. So broke the ice, made a couple $100 on it. Ended up that it opens, it dips. I took this dip and rip setup right here. So it halted up, it opens lower. And then I bought this dip and it rips up here into another halt. That was a nice trade. Quick winner. Took the profit off the table. It ends up going a little higher, all the way up to $30. And I was like, no, that's maybe I've got to scale back my share size a little bit. So I started trading it with 150 share blocks. And when I was making $1 share, I'd make $150. So I was okay with that. Definitely trading much more conservatively than maybe I would on another day. But one of the challenges with this stock is that it had very large spreads. And the reason it has large spreads is because the price is so high. You've got a high price stock on light volume, you're going to have bigger spreads. And so as it finally started to pull away right here up to 32, 34, 35, look at these candles. This candle went from a low of 28 to a high of 32. It's a 4-point candle in 1 minute. But then it dropped right back down in the next candle. Then it pushes higher and drops down. It pushes higher, halts up, and then it opens lower, surges higher, and then drops here from 42 all the way back down to 36. So you could see if you were trading with 2, 3, 4, 5,000 shares, how you could suddenly be down $15,000, $20,000 on a stock like this if it goes the wrong way. And there were a couple of pretty dramatic moves on this. There was this candle right here where you see that it dropped from $49 all the way to $43 a share. That's 6 points in one candle. And that's a real candle. It did it right here too. It does a huge flush, halts down, and then rallies back up. So at this point, I was like, I'm playing with fire to continue trading it. I just have to trade with really small size. We ended up hitting a high of 56, which again was like a quick candle wick and then back down, tried again, back down. And in this area, it was choppy. So if I look back on this stock and I ask myself, what were some of my best trades? What were some of the best entries? There was a nice trade right in here for the break of 30. It popped, but then it rejected, and then it went higher. So you really had to have some patience with it. There was a really nice curling pattern right here as it started to come back up for the retest of the high. I think that might have been my best trade of the day. Then we had the sell-off into a halt down. I actually was holding 400 shares into the halt down, and I was wondering if I'd made a mistake, but it opened higher and ripped back up, and I was like, all right, you know what? Okay, that's good, but let's not keep doing that. This is, I feel like I'm just taking a lot of risk on this stock. So let's see. So if we back out of here for a second, so I locked up $3,367.05 on it. Is it a huge winner? No, it's not. But you know what? It's a green day. And I started today with about $1,500 of profit. And then I gave back 1,000 of it to being up only 500 on the day. And then I rallied to being up actually over $5,000. And then I gave back more than half of that on CZOO. And I did give back some profit on GCTS. I gave back about 1,200 off the top on GCTS. So I overtraded it a little bit. And the areas where I gave back profit was up around $50 a share. So up around 50, I tried to take a trade a couple of times here. I took this trade right here for the break through this flat top at $53.16. It went to $53.60, and then it dropped and I stopped out. It comes back up, I got back in, and what I was looking for was it to pull away and squeeze up to $65.70. But I got stopped out again. I did not get back in on this candle, and I did not get back in on this candle. I'd already lost 1,200 off the top, and I was like, you know what? Let's not overstay my welcome. That's, it's a little annoying, but it is what it is. Now, the fact that GCTS was a recent special acquisition company, a SPAC merger, definitely gave it some of this momentum. You don't have really bag holders. You don't have a lot of algorithms that are already dialed in on it. So early in the move, these can really open up in a big way. An interesting stock that was also in play today was CZOO, as I mentioned. However, this was choppy, and I took a loss on it right here, getting in at about $11.20, and then adding for this move higher. And then in this candle, it drops $1 a share from 11.80 to 10.80 down here. So now it's kind of grinding back up, but when you catch those kind of rejections, and there were a few kind of nasty flushes on this one, you start to feel like I just don't know if I can trust it. We had some nice moves today on this, but not parabolic, not halting up, not super clean. Does it still have potential? Like on the one hand, I want to say yes, it does. I could see this thing going, but I already tried it several times. And since I gave back half my profit today, it's better for me to walk away in the green rather than overstay my welcome. So my P&L right now is $1,631.37. Since I hit a high of 5,000 before losing 2,100 on CZOO and about 1,200 on or 1,300 on GCTS, I feel like this is the point where you have to walk away. One of the things that I often say is that if I give back half of my profit after hitting my daily goal, that's the time to walk away. So this morning, I got myself up 1,500. I gave back most of it, was up only 400. And then I rallied to being up 2,500. And then I was sitting there for a while. And then I was up 3,800. And then I was up to 5,000. And then I dropped back to 3,800. And then in one trade, I dropped down to like 1,600. So, more or less back to where I was here. It is what it is. I actually looked at my metrics from the last 3 weeks of trading, because yesterday I traded past my max loss. My max loss is minus 5,000. I traded past my max loss yesterday, and that was that ended up being a good thing because I recovered a good chunk of my losses. I've traded past my max loss, it looks like 4 times this month. And the result of trading past my max loss in net. So this was sort of the question. How much is it costing me to trade past my max loss? I trade past max loss on Monday, and I lost more than I needed to. I traded past max loss yesterday, and I recovered. So in net, what's the total? And actually this month in net, I have $18,000 in profit to show from days where I traded past my max loss. So that's a little bit tricky to deal with that information because, you know, it essentially means that following my max loss would have cost me $18,000 this month if I had just walked away when I hit that number. Even though I generally feel like I should walk away when I hit a certain number because I feel like I'm going to be more emotionally triggered. And I am, but what I also have going for me is that even in a state of being emotionally triggered, it doesn't discount the fact or take away from the fact that I have, you know, more than a decade of trading experience. So, you know, it was unfortunate that I had a couple days where I traded past max loss and dug the hole deeper, but I also had a couple of days where I was at max loss and then I recovered, which wouldn't have happened if I'd been very strict about walking away at that point. The fact is right now we are in a colder market. CZOO strong today, up 81%, but not exceptional, not exceptionally strong. A bit of a grinder, a little bit tricky. And GCTS definitely very strong in terms of percentage gain, but light volume, 4 million shares total on the day right now, thinly traded with big spreads, and not easy, no doubt, to manage risk on. Right now, we look at the spreads, you've got 2-point spread on it right now, which is why I would be trading it with 150 to 250 shares, because you're going to be down $500 just between the spread. You know, taking 1,000 or 2,000 shares of this, you're going to be down $6,000, and then suddenly you could be in a halt down. One of the things that I also struggled with a little bit on this one was that, you know, I was just sort of watching the halt levels. So right now, our halt down is at 39.05. The halt up is at 47.73, which means right now we're closer to the halt down level than we are to the halt up level. In fact, a few big orders going through could flush this down to 39.05 and we're in a halt down. When it was up here around 53, 54, because it had moved up very, very quickly, the halt level was at like 55. And I was thinking, well, geez, if it breaks here, it's only going to go up like $2 a share before it's potentially halting. So I'm only going to be up a little bit before I'm potentially going to have to make a decision of, do I want to hold during a halt? But the halt down is like 8 points away, which means it could drop $8 a share without halting. And it did, right? So that dealing with sort of the way the halt bands were positioned was a little bit of a challenge because, you know, you've got the price of the stock moving higher, and then you've got the halt bands that are around it. But if the stock starts to move, you know, really, really quickly, it's going to be sort of chasing that upper halt band. It's going to be really close to it, which means it has a lot more downside to flush to the lower halt band if it does a reversal. Now, typically, what I like doing is when we get that big flush, like 5-6 points, to buy the dip as long as it false halts. But that's what I tried doing, and that's how I was in 400 shares into a real halt down on GCTS. So I was fortunate that it opened higher and then squeezed back towards the high of day, but that could have also opened lower and then, you know, been a $2,000 loss. So I think the good news is we're at least seeing stuff moving. I'm a little bit bummed that I made it to $5,000 and was at my daily goal and then, you know, gave it back, or gave a lot of it back. But I also felt like GCTS, being that it had no resistance on the daily chart, actually had potential to move up towards $75 or $100 a share. I was like, I could see this happening, and let's see if I can make some more money on it. So I guess I got a little greedy. I overstayed my welcome, gave back some profit on that. And then CZOO, I didn't expect to get caught in that kind of flush. But you know what? As we come to the end of the day with 30 minutes to the close, it wouldn't surprise me to see this, squeeze either in the last 30 minutes or after hours, and maybe it goes up to $14 or $15 a share. But it's just a question of whether or not you have the risk tolerance to take that trade, because I'm feeling kind of burnt out. I've already been trading sort of past my typical window today, which I did because we had some strong momentum. But, the risk with doing that is you start getting a little decision fatigue, and maybe you get a little frustration. I've been sitting here for this long. And then all of a sudden, something like this, I punch it for 9,000 shares, like all of a sudden I'm in like, whoa, what am I doing? And now I'm in, and then it flushes $1 a share and I'm down $9,000. That could happen. I mean, if you, in just a moment of being a little complacent, a little sloppy, that could happen. So it's important to know when you're going to be on your game, trade in the window that is your sort of sweet spot, and then know when to walk away and not overstay your welcome. So with that, I'm going to call it a day here. I'll thank you guys as always for tuning in to today's recap. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you hit the thumbs up. I hope you're subscribed to the channel. And I'll remind you as always that trading is risky. My results aren't typical. So manage your risk, take it slow. And I'll see you back here first thing tomorrow morning, live streaming for Warrior Pro members over at Warrior Trading. And I'll do my recap tomorrow afternoon. Okay, see you guys soon. Bye.